The greatest mixed martial artist of all time is returning back to the octagon. Yes, I'm talking about Jon Jones. The news has broken. A lot of different MMA sites, Bleacher Report, MMA Mania, the list goes on. They're all saying that Jon Jones comes back to pay-per-view in March in Las Vegas. Against who though? That is the big question. As we know, Jon Jones, in February, it's going to be 3 years since the man fought. That is crazy. You know, the sport of mixed martial arts is the better place with Jon Jones involved. Okay, and if he's in an octagon, he's not getting into trouble on the streets. He's on the straight and narrow. He's in the training camp. But he's one of the greatest we've ever seen. You know, regardless of the talk about the steroids and the picograms. Okay, that's something else. But in terms of what he has achieved inside the octagon, is he the greatest of all time? Maybe. That's open for debate. He's certainly one of them. But that's not what this video is about. It's about who does he fight next. Now, apparently, March 5th, UFC 285 going down, T-Mobile Arena. And there's going to be 2 pay-per-views in March. One in London towards the end of the month, from what these reports say online, and one in Vegas, as I say, March 5th, I do believe. And for Jon Jones, I mean, he's got to be on that card. He has got to be on that card in Vegas because the first pay-per-view is January in Rio de Janeiro. Second one is in Perth. You know, now we're getting into March. So it needs to be that one because now we're getting way over 3 years since his last fight. So who is he going to fight? Who is Jon Jones going to fight? Because we all know we want to see him fight, but who's he going to be? That person right there. And no, I'm not talking about the women's pound for pound #1 Amanda Nunes. Of course, I'm talking about the heavyweight champ, Francis the Predator Ngannou. That is who we want to see. The hardest hitting guy that I think we've seen in recent years. The only person that could give him a contest in that division would be Derek Lewis. Okay, but Francis is the champ. And we don't know what's going on right now. But sources are saying it's not Francis Ngannou. They're saying that it's Curtis Blades, okay? Francis is recovering from knee surgery. Francis is also going through, I don't know, maybe negotiations still. I'm not sure how that lines. But that's the fight we wanted to see. But I don't think that's the fight that's going to happen. I hope I'm wrong. Now, the next fight after that we wanted to see, of course, #2, Stipe Miocic. He has a claim to be the greatest heavyweight on planet goddamn earth, the best UFC heavyweight that we've ever seen, because he defended the belt 3 times more than anybody else. But Stipe's a low-key kind of guy, you know. We don't know if he's ever going to fight again. I hope so. The thing with Stipe is he is low-key. He's not all over social media. He's not doing interviews. He's not making appearances. He lives a quiet life. And you've got to respect that. And he's still a fireman to this day. I love Stipe Miocic. I love watching him fight. And I would love nothing more than to see Jon Jones take on Stipe Miocic. I mean, that would be a gigantic fight. And I think that's what Jones was looking for. Been 3 years. And there's a narrative. You know, people were saying, oh, he doesn't want to fight. Jan Blachowicz, former 205-pound champ, came out and said, Jones is scared. That's why he's not fighting. He's afraid to lose. I love Jan. That ain't true. He ain't afraid to lose. He wants to fight. And he wants a blockbuster fight. He wants somebody like a Francis Ngannou. He wants a Stipe Miocic. He wants a huge blockbuster fight that's going to do massive numbers. But those guys aren't available right now. So we go back. I mean, #1 right now is Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane was the interim heavyweight champ. He won that against Derek Lewis, but then sadly he fought Ngannou. Hey, fair play to Ngannou. Ngannou beat the interim champ, rightly claimed his title back and said, no, this is mine. I am the heavyweight king. So who else could it be? I mean, Ciryl Gane would be a great fight. Ciryl Gane versus Jon Jones. I mean, the striking would be phenomenal. Yes, of course, you're going to think you would favour Jones because of the wrestling department. He can take people down. He's got good jiu-jitsu. He's got submissions. And he's got way more experience than Ciryl Gane. I don't know who Cyryl's fighting next, though. Pretty quiet on that front. Of course, that brings us to #3, Curtis Blades. This is the guy that's the front runner right now. All the sources, all the media outlets are saying that it's going to be Curtis Blades. As we know, Blades last saw him in action against Tom Aspinall. Tom broke his leg or his knee ruptured several ligaments and had to have a couple of surgeries and things like that. It was very, very unfortunate, but you know, it was a win for Curtis Blades, regardless of the circumstances. Tom Aspinall would have been a great fight for Jon Jones as well, but he didn't get the job done. Curtis Blades, number 3, is right there. And against Cyril Gane, you know, I think he'd have a good chance against Cyril simply because of the wrestling. The point that I'm making by saying that is that it looks like, you know, this is one of the toughest tests. If Ngannou's out, which it looks like he is, if Stipe doesn't want to fight just yet, which potentially he doesn't, then Curtis Blades right now could be the toughest fight for Jon Jones in the heavyweight division that is available to him. Okay? And if Jones takes him on, it takes Curtis Blades on, then hey, fair play, respect to him, taking on the toughest guy in the heavyweight division after 3 years away from the sport. And Jones always used his wrestling to great effect. Could he do that against Curtis Blades? Could he do that against a guy that big, that strong? Now, granted, Jones was always a big guy for light heavyweight. He was massive, in fact. But the legs weren't the thickest. They weren't the strongest. And a lot of wrestling comes from the strength, the hips, the ass, the thighs. But I think Jones will do okay. But Curtis Blades is a tough fight. Very, very tough fight. And of course, if Jones beats him, it puts him right at the top of the food chain to fight whoever the champ is, whether that's Ngannou, if he stays with the promotion, and I hope he does. Fingers crossed that all gets worked out and he comes back. But let's just see who some of the other options are. Obviously, Tai Tuivasa. Well, Tai Tuivasa, number 4, is fighting number 5, Sergey Pavlovich. That's 3rd of December in Orlando, Florida. My mate, Tom Aspinall, sadly, still recovering from the knee. Recovering very, very well. He'll be good to go. Hopefully soon in the new year as well. So, Tom, one of the best guys at heavyweight. 7, Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis, you know, he's had a rough run this year. He's had a rough run and, Saturday night was supposed to fight as well, again, but sadly had to pull out the fight a few hours before he had to go to the hospital. Still don't know the exact scenario. Wasn't weight cutting related, wasn't COVID related, but yeah, some kind of stomach bug or something like that. And then, you know, then from here we start getting to guys that, with respect to them, I don't think are going to do it for Jon Jones. Volkov, you know, Rosenstruck, Marcin Tybura, Chris Daukaus, these are all great fighters, but they're not that guy. They're not Francis the Predator Ngannou. Jones versus Ngannou. That would be a fight of massive magnitude. That would do huge pay-per-view sales. And you can bet your bottom dollar that Jones, being away for so long and feeling disrespected like he does. Remember, anytime there's talk of GOATs, you know, with George St. Pierre, with Khabib Nurmagomedov, anyone like that, Jones is quick to get on Twitter and point out the fact that he defended the belt so many times and was never beaten and all the rest of it. So he does take these things kind of seriously. And he does get annoyed when he gets overlooked. So he wants to come back and he wants to do massive pay-per-view numbers. A, to show, number 1, that there's a demand for him. And B, to show, hey, listen, I am still one of the big dogs. And as I just showed, when you go through the heavyweight division, there's not really too many people around. Cyril Gane would be great. Miocic's out. Ngannou's maybe out. Curtis Blades is the next best deal. Curtis Blades, Francis Ngannou. Sign me up. Take my money. I'd see that. I'd watch that. I would pay to watch that. 100% I would. I think a lot of people are going to be intrigued by Jones when he comes back. How will he fare at heavyweight? Will he be slower? Will his cardio be the same? Will he be able to go 5 rounds at a high pace? Jones always could. I mean, his conditioning was always next level. Remember, you know, apparently he didn't train for the Gustafsson fight, but he still beat him and he still went 5 rounds, you know, at a really, really good pace. You know, Jones always comes in great shape. He's always been pretty quick, you know, but will the strength and the extra muscle mass, will that slow him down? Will he still be as explosive with his takedowns? Will he be able to take the punches of the other heavyweights? They hit fucking hard, as we know. So a lot of questions need to be answered. But either way, I'm excited to see him back. I hope the media in this instance are correct. March 5th. UFC 285. Jon Jones versus Curtis Blades. It is a heavy, heavy rumor right now. It is not signed, sealed and delivered, you know, but it's reported en masse by the mixed martial arts media. What do you think?